Thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Sarah Horbacewicz here with meteorologist Simone Thomas, who's been bringing all of the sunshine this weekend for your Easter holiday. Now, Simone, are we seeing more of it tomorrow?
Now, we do have some clouds moving in, but tomorrow we are staying dry, so it's still going to be a great Easter Sunday.
Okay.
Just a little bit cloudier than what we saw this Saturday. Here's a look at those clouds starting to move into the state. Right now, mainly the southwestern half of the state, seeing some of that cloud cover. In the Little Rock Metro, we'll say a mix of clouds and sun, but as we continue through the evening, we'll see more of those clouds developing across the region, becoming fairly overcast by the end of the evening. Now, for your Easter Sunday, it's going to be a cloudy day, but it's still going to be a nice day. Temperatures extending to the upper 70s, some lower 80s expected tomorrow with some breezy wind. This is ahead of that next chance of rain that we're tracking. Now, if you stick with us coming up later on in the show, I have the details on that rain chance helping us kick off the month of April. Meanwhile, we do have a nice Easter Sunday ahead of us. Stick with us.
Today, Little Rock is bringing new life into a neighborhood hit by last year's tornado. The anniversary marked with a special tree planting and commemoration. The Walnut Valley event is part of 3 different memorials across the country. The sapling is from the survivor tree at the 9/11 Memorial in New York. 2 other cities, Waukesha, Wisconsin and Uvalde, Texas, received saplings to symbolize hope in their communities as they also recover from tragedy. Now, as rebuilding efforts enter year 2, Mayor Frank Scott Jr. is asking for patience.
We know that this is not the only neighborhood. We know who was the hardest hit. And while you don't quantify hardest hit basis off another area, because we want to make certain that we take care of every area, but we want to demonstrate to you that you are not forgotten and that we will continue to do whatever possible to take us to the next level.
The sapling was planted at the Walnut Valley Neighborhood Park. Tomorrow, the community invites everyone out for a day of reflection at the Access School from 2 to 3. Across the bridge in North Little Rock's Amboy neighborhood, they're recognizing how far they've come since those storms. The community met at Free Will Baptist Church, still waiting for some parts of the area to be rebuilt.
We're here to say how far we've come in both rebuilding all of our buildings and we're rebuilding relationships. As we go forward, we want to continue that. So today we're just here to remember all of that and support each other and get to know new neighbors.
Sherwood was another one of the cities directly in the tornado's path. Neighbors there are still dealing with the aftermath. THV 11's Brooke Buckner checks back in with one woman who's still waiting to move back into her home 1 year later.
We're almost to March 31st of 2024. My family still does not have a house. My family still has to find some place to live.
We were here 1 year ago when the tornado tore up Gwen Johnson's house in Sherwood. Almost a year later, there is some progress, but it's taking longer than she expected. She's currently living in Jacksonville as she waits for construction to finish.
I don't know if you remember, this used to be the garage.
I remember.
Well, we divided it, right, and that was just done. So we made it into two bedrooms. My house is still not done for whatever reasons that everybody says there's a reason for it not being completed. My family will be without a home 1st of April.
She says with help from the community and her contractor, she's been able to pay rent each month, but time is ticking to cover the month of April.
My family, that's my strength. And now I'm letting them down because they're like, okay, Ma, where are we going? What are we doing? Because I'm the matriarch of the family, so I don't have any answers to give them.
And she's experienced one storm after another. She says her current house flooded a couple weeks ago during a big rainstorm.
I'm just really unhappy.
But she's hoping for no more holdups and to have her old house move-in ready soon.
This house was built in the year I was born, 1959. That was special to me. So that's why I want to come back here.
Another reason, her neighbors.
They watched this house since the tornado. I get a text, hey, somebody's at your house, or hey, the door is open. I have great neighbors.
And they'll be there when move-in day does come. In Sherwood, Brooke Buckner, THV 11 News.
Yesterday, Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders made stops in other cities impacted by the storm, including Jacksonville. That's where Mayor Jeff Elmore is working to rebuild after the March 31st tornado. He was just a few months into office when the storm hit. One of the latest developments in rebuilding was Marshall Park, an area that suffered some of the most significant damage on that day. And it's now home to one of the state's newest inclusive playgrounds. Tonight at 10, we're going to have more from Mayor Elmore about their progress over the year. And as that anniversary arrives this weekend, we invite you to join us for a look back at that devastating day. March 31st, a tornado emergency airs tomorrow morning at 10:30 and then again Monday in place of 6:30 Central. After a deadly bridge collapse earlier this week, officials in Baltimore say there is no set timeline on when the port could reopen. Christian Benavidez reports on the economic impact that's in the billions.
The deadly bridge collapse in Baltimore this week, which took the lives of 6 construction workers, has also shut down the country's 9th largest port. Today marks the beginning of the wreckage removal process.
Even after that initial lift takes place, there still needs to be an understanding of what forms of adjustments have happened. How has lifting that one piece and begin the removal process, how does that impact the remainder of the bridge that still sits?
Meaning we do not know when the port can reopen. A large part of the wreckage will need to be cleared for the channel leading to the port to allow ships to pass. Directly, the port supports over 15,000 jobs.
And so we still do not yet have a timeline as to when we can actually begin lifting pieces off of the dolly. But we know that today is a remarkably important moment, but one that still is going to take further evaluation as to what type of impact that's going to have on the remainder of the mission.
An estimated 2,000 to 3,000 tons of steel are now sitting atop of the cargo ship dolly. On the way, 7 floating cranes, 10 tugboats, 9 barges, 8 salvage vessels, and 5 Coast Guard vessels, a fleet tasked with cleaning the 700-feet channel. The Department of Labor is also looking at options to help those workers directly employed by the Port of Baltimore.
When there's no ships here, no cargo, there's no work. So it affects us greatly.
Engineers say it could take years to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge. President Biden, who will visit the site next week, says he intends for the federal government to pay for the cost. Christian Benavidez, CBS News.
This week, companies including top U.S. automakers began rerouting shipments from the port. Last year, it saw more than $80 billion in imports and exports. Today, the Arkansas Fallen Firefighters Memorial is celebrating their 10th anniversary, honoring 129 fallen firefighters in the state who gave their lives in the line of duty to help others.
This is our memorial service is done annually, the last weekend in March every year. Rain, shine, snow, sun, we're out here to pay respect to our fallen brothers and sisters.
In past years, they had to add anywhere from 2 to 5 names a year. However, thankfully, the organization does not have to add any names to the wall this year.